Hello and welcome into this tent talk from Joshua Tree National Park. And what I'd really like to do here with you is to go into a journey, an exploration of what it means to be a wise one. And using and looking at the events in our world right now with Donald Trump and his choice, his decision with Israel to bomb Iran, to, in fact, start a war. The ripple effect, the domino effect of this decision. It's almost even hard to put words to what it is, especially because we only have the information being given to us. But it's this one man made a decision to strike, to be seen as the strong man, the dominator, the leader, the aggressor, and in doing so becomes this, oh shit. Where do we go from here? What happens now, especially when it is becoming more and more clear that there is no end goal, no exit strategy beyond dropping the bombs. And I will be using this as an example, but I'm not just going to keep it there. I'm going to be weaving and bringing in examples in other areas. Large scale ones, yes, but also very personal. Where have we lost this ability to be a wise one, to see far beyond ourselves, our wants, our desires, how we have forgotten the great interconnectedness of who we are as a human peoples, but also on this planet Earth, where one thing happens is not an isolated event, that there is an effect that carries outwards. And this very much what I'm speaking to is this wisdom of the divine feminine, of the grand mothers. Now, if you are new to my work, my name is Christy Whistler. I am a soul level evolutionary astrologer, and I will be lightly weaving in some of the astrology for this moment in time. I'm also an intuitive and an oracle, and I'm a mother. So you're actually going to be hearing around me and my children. They may be climbing, they may not be, because it's pretty hot out there. And the sun is a little bit bright. So we'll see if they decide to come in. But just know that they are here. If you are needing support right now, do please reach out. I offer astrology readings, intuitive readings, as well as quantum healing for those sticky areas in your life. You can find all of that information at my website at christywhistler.com. And if you find this video helpful, please give it a thumbs up. Please like it, please share it. Every little bit that you do, you participate in, really helps me and this message to reach a wider audience, to start bringing in new narratives rather than these old conditioned ones that have been taught to us since we were children and our parents. This is groundbreaking what we are bringing in here, which is also reflective on the fact that we just had our lunar eclipse in Virgo. the South Nodal eclipse, where we are reviewing the past 2,000 years, especially when it comes to things like intolerance. Seeing someone else, another human being, as less than you. That they are impure, or perhaps you are impure. You know, maybe you're born in a woman's body, and there has been this conditioning by our systems within the human consciousness that we are having to really see right now. This is what the eclipse does. A lunar eclipse is an illumination of these very old themes, and it's time to tie them up. It's time to see these loose ends so we don't keep bringing them with us. So it is no surprise that Donald Trump made that decision with Israel to bomb Iran. Now, there's a lot within that. I'm not going to go super deep into that. This video, I want to focus on this energy of the wisdom and how we have forgotten what that means to have wisdom, to hold wisdom. And in fact, what is wisdom? What it is not is almost easier to define. It is not the fact that you are a 79-year-old man with a bunch of nuclear codes and the ability to launch missiles and attacks. That you are an elder because you have reached that age. This is part of what we are breaking down, this belief that when you get to a certain age, then you get this gold star. As an elder, that you are wise beyond your years. That is a bunch of horseshit that we have been fed and conditioned by our Western society. These patriarchal belief systems where, in fact, this capitalism, if you are a narcissist and you only care about yourself and the bottom line, you get to get really far ahead and screw everybody else. And that is this orientation. And that kind of mental thinking is really screwing things up. Not just for the world, you know, our environment, Mother Earth, but for our children, where we are only able to think about what is in front of us. What is good for me? What benefits me? That is what is coming down right now. I'm just looking at my notes to see where I want to go from here. Yes, this selfishness, this being short-sighted, this profits over people mentality, that is our current Western civilization and our model, and that is what is being broken down right now. And as I said, this lunar eclipse is bringing this illumination of a very old theme, 2,000 years, where we have lost our way because of this conditioning, because of the different guilt and shame that we may have within sight of ourselves. That's one of the ways this Virgo energy can show up. This impurity within ourselves, and of course, this projecting that impurity out onto others. So, this is the knowledge of the divine feminine that has been lost. And this is also what is waking up right now within us. And I'd like to show you a card. I pulled this card the morning of the war, just sort of tuning in and asking a question. And I haven't gone any deeper in that with the larger collective field, just because I actually needed some time to rest. to recharge, to just be in the stillness of nature. So I'm sharing that as well, that if that is what you are needing right now, to please see to yourself, because you cannot hold space for others if you are running on empty. And we are in a marathon right now with the intensity, with these energies. It is not going to be slowing down. So even this right here, this, you get to say no more, to disconnect, to disengage, and to take care of yourself, because you matter too. And you do not need to feel shame or guilt, or that you are not being in service enough, because you are having healthy boundaries and taking care of your nervous system. That is part of this missing medicine, this wisdom, the divine feminine. What it means to be a wise one is to know, hey, I've had enough. I need to tap out for a bit, and I need to recharge and come back into center, rather than constantly going from that go, 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 intense trauma spiral place. So I took that time out for me, and I encourage you, if that's what you're needing, to do the same for yourself. Because it is also, as I said, part of this message. So this was the card that I pulled. This is from the Tree Angel Oracle deck. The walnut tree. So I'm going to just read a little bit from you. Read a little bit from the book for you, because it is very, very on point. What is a wise one? Allow this to really sink into you and to receive it, as well as asking yourself, what is a wise one to you? And let me know in the comments below, what is coming through for you? What do you see as missing in the world right now that we so deeply need? Walnut is one of Earth's ancient mothers because of the nourishment it provides. Of course, the walnut nourishes us in a material sense through its fruit, but its spiritual gift is wisdom. Coming into accord with the walnut angel strengthens our foresight, understanding, sensitivity, and the ability to empathize. This creates a healthy foundation for our powers of judgment and sense of justice. With the help of walnut, we draw the right conclusions from our experiences, attaining a mature and deep understanding of life and its governing principles. Since time immemorial, the gentle power of walnut has been honored for its contribution to our spiritual development. That is what it means to be a wise one, to hold wisdom. Now, this is what happens when we do not have the spirit of the walnut in our lives and in our society, our collective human consciousness. Without the walnut, we act in a superficial, hasty, and short-sighted manner. Ignorance and coarseness gain the upper hand, which quickly leads to misunderstanding and injustice. All too often, this results in needless confrontation, quarreling, and conflict. Boy, is that not a card for what is happening now in our world? These decisions to go forward that did not have the foresight to see what might happen next if we do this thing. This is the grandmothers who Sharon McErlane brought through, along with the Net of Light. You can find that at netoflight.org. The grandmothers have a term for these men. They are called moys. Boys in men's bodies. A moy acts in superficial, hasty ways. They only concern themselves with themselves and the people they consider close and important to them. Nothing else matters. They do not have the ability to see far into the future, the long-term effects of the decisions that they make. They are lacking in wisdom, in what it means to be a wise one. And this is what is awakening in all of us right now. This need to return to the divine feminine, empathy, listening, true listening, where you hear the other person across from you. What are their needs? What are your needs? And can you share that? Can you come in dialogue in this dance together? We have also lost our grandfathers, the divine masculine, who is able to hold this energy of what it means to be a wise one, to be an elder. This balance that they both have, grandmother, grandfather. When do we act? When do we stop and listen? This has gotten so out of balance, and we can see it taking place in our world right now. And there is this invitation to awaken that inside of ourselves. You are a wise one. As I said, this example with Iran, this lack of foresight, what is going to happen to the global oil supply? The 20% that goes through the Strait of Hormuz. I know I'm saying that wrong, but please forgive me. What is going to happen as our normal allies, who we would normally consult before we go and, bomb another country, their bases, their peoples being attacked? What happens then? What happens to the United States American travelers in these 14 other countries who now can't get back home because the airspaces are closed and some of those airports have been attacked? And our State Department does not have the funding to help those stranded Americans get back home, because back in July of 2025, Trump and the Republicans passed the one big beautiful bill which cut the State Department's budget in half. Were these decisions made with foresight? I don't think so. It's really interesting, the noise that has started to happen since I filmed this. You can probably hear there's this rumbling. I don't even know what it is. There's no one here. Like, this place is really quiet, and yet there's this outside agitation that's coming in. Oh, so, I'm just going to do my best here. So, again, these decisions that were they made for selfish reasons? Was it self-centered? Was it grandiose? Again, this is moi energy. And I'm going to bring in another example as well. So, clearing that energy. Right now, it's going through Congress. And it has passed the House. I have not yet heard about the Senate, where there is a vote that will allow, it's not even necessarily a legal vote. This procedure that they want to use isn't even what it's supposed to be used for. But basically, to give permission to a Chilean billionaire to go into, they're called the Boundary Waters in Minnesota, this beautiful, pristine place that is like just amazing, the most visited of all of the national forests. This has been protected, and there has been a fight to keep it safe. And this act that they're trying to get passed will allow them to go and change this. Again, they're not even supposed to be able to do it, but they're saying like, oh, we're going to go back 2 years and change that ruling so we can give this billionaire the go-ahead to do mining at the head of this boundary water, this pristine part of our country that is loved by so many people, that supports small businesses, rural businesses, mostly Republicans, with their different outfitters, with going on kayaks or hunting trips, that kind of thing. Is it a smart decision with foresight to say yes to that kind of mining that is at the heart, the very entryway to a massive water table, which not only will feed and nourish the land and the wildlife, but the people who are south of those waters? Would you like the possibility of having sulfuric acid in your water? Because every time they go in and do this particular mining, there is always sulfuric acid. Is this foresight? Is this decision wise? So can you start to feel like there is this rising up for each of us to stand in our power, to claim that we are the wise ones, instead of simply giving it away as we have been conditioned to do? Getting a little bit smaller as another example. This lack of foresight, this lack of wisdom in my homeschool community, and I have seen this now for almost a dozen years, more and more recently, where I have on our online group, families are like, I need friends for my kids. Where are all the teens? Where are all the tweens? And then they expect this community to just materialize, but to never show up themselves. Where we're like, hey, at this park day, there's these kids of all these ages, please come. And then they never do. And then they wonder, why is it so hard to find the tweens, to make the friends, when they don't put any effort, any energy into creating community? Are those actions, those choices, coming from a wise one position, or is it coming from a very self-centered, rugged individual only feeling and looking at the concerns of their small family unit? Or is it expanding into a larger community? How do I create actual networks, an actual supportive community? What do I need to give in order to see and to make that happen? This sacrifice, this service to get to a desire that you actually care about. And I have seen many homeschoolers actually return back to school because their kids aren't getting that particular social needs as their children get into that older range, because they did not prioritize it earlier. That socialization, that just hanging out in connection, giving of themselves to make that space to build that community. So, as I said, I'm weaving in other areas of just, where is this coming through in your life? Again, Iran, Donald Trump is one example. It is so clear and easy to see, but the truth is that this is going much deeper, that we are contributing to this, because what's happening at that macro level is a mirror and a reflection of our inner worlds, our smaller individual stories. This is also, as I said, an inner job too. This is understanding and learning about the role of narcissism in our culture and how we have been conditioned by it and by its abuse. Now, that will be very different depending on your life and your experience. And if you were raised by a narcissistic, abusive parent who, and I really encourage you to go onto Instagram and to follow Hypervigilance. His name is Christian. He is doing some groundbreaking work into this. I'm still on my unfolding journey and how this is coming up in my life and my healing and my recovery from a narcissistic father, where I was not allowed to exist as my individual self. I was not allowed to speak. I'll give you a really great example is I was often told that my parents were raising strong, independent daughters. And that was a complete gaslighting on my reality. Because the truth is, I could be strong and I could be independent, but I was never allowed to disagree with my father. I was never allowed to step into and to speak my beliefs. And so this is what I'm going to be meaning about this individual story. So for me, when I come here and I say, I'm going to talk some politics with you, this is a huge healing journey for me because it is going straight up against my conditioning as a child. This is bringing up a lot of shame and guilt and smallness. Who am I to say anything? Who am I to rock the boat? My voice doesn't matter. Those are the kind of conditionings, the phrases, the self-talk that I'm having to sit with how my inner self, my authentic self, my light was colonized by someone who was supposed to love me unconditionally. When the truth is, any love that I was given and shown was highly conditioned. So I am breaking through these conditionings. So as this stuff is happening at the world stage, okay, I don't know about you guys, but I don't have a say on the floor of the House or the Senate right now of whether or not we're going to take back our power as Congress and not allow the President of the United States to do this. Okay, I don't have a say in that. But what I do have a say is in this quieter inner journey to heal my own narcissistic abuse that I received and how I would become the codependent in order to stay safe. This is some of what we can be doing right now. That was one of the biggest questions, this what can we do right now? This rising up of the divine feminine, this returning into our wise ones, reclaiming these titles, reclaiming this power. What can we do? That is one of the things that you can do. And it is the most powerful, important thing. I used myself as an example in my story, but that's unique to me. So your task, your job is to see where that is in you. What is your story? What do you need to see? That was Kate coming over. All right, let me just check my notes. Another thing that you can do right now is really take this time to deconstruct any of the narcissist deconditioning. Because again, this is what capitalism is based on. And we have so many people in our lives and our family units who are this thing, who do not allow us to be our authentic, unique selves. Where have we given our power away into that? This old story that it's time to let it go, to see it for what it is and to tie up those loose ends. Again, South Node of the Moon in Virgo really highlighted at this eclipse as a lunar eclipse conjunct the asteroid Lucifer. Oh boy, do we need to see any shame and guilt, intolerance, smallness within ourselves, and step into, no, I am this thing and I am deeply interconnected with everyone. And as you do this, take the time to teach your children. That is what I've been doing so much, especially this trip, as I've been sharing with Kate and Eric. We've been listening to certain news channels, or Heather Cox Richardson, who I adore, for bringing in this deeper understanding of our human history, and to start to deconstruct what is narcissism, how does this exist in our world, and what we can expect going forward, knowing that we do have malignant, pathological narcissists at the helm. This right here, the speaking of patriarchy, this naming things for what they are and trying to understand it, this is how we raise wise ones within ourselves, but the next generation to come. This is very, very important work. I also want to encourage you right now to find your joy. There's a lot happening in the world. There's a lot happening in our news. It will continue. The intensity, the fast forward, like we are just at the beginning stages of the roller coaster going off the top of that lip. okay, and going into it. We are just at the beginning. Find your joy. Again, take that time to disconnect, tune out, find joy. Find your small moments of peace and smiles and love. What is your creativity? What is the thing that you are here to do and to build? Claim your authenticity. That is the antidote right now to this narcissism that's running rampant, that's showing itself for what it truly is. Be your unique, authentic light. We are being called to wake up right now. That is what this moment is about, this remembering and this returning to this core principles of who we are and what's been missing. Again, this walnut tree. Foresight, understanding, sensitivity, empathy. To know judgment and right justice. And I haven't read this part yet, but there's just this little poem about the walnut. Watch and wait, listen and learn. No judgment, no action. Every coin has two sides. Every problem, three solutions. Find the path that in time will nourish all. That is exactly what we are being invited into this moment. This is not about doing the things the same way they've always been done. This is about coming back into this power and recognizing there's another way forward. There is another path, and it begins when each of us reclaim that authenticity of who we are, our voice, as we return to wholeness. That is how we can each become and hold the energy, the power of wisdom, of what it means to be a wise one. So please know that I have been weaving different threads, and there's so much that I didn't even speak to. So they are all important, but I'm a limited human being, and you're only sitting with me for a limited amount of time. So I really encourage you to lean into this message and to see what is coming forward for you. What are you being called to do, to stand in right now? That need to defend, to protect. There is a rising up of that energy, that righteous wrath. And this new that we are here to create. And it will only come from that intrinsic, authentic part that exists within you. So there's a lot that's happening in our world. Hold on to that. Your power, your sovereignty, and focus in on your joy, your creation, and see if you can cultivate that energy of the walnut tree within yourself. Bit by bit, day by day, that is how we make huge changes in our world. But it starts from a very, very small space, just like the walnut tree and the seed. Now, again, if any of you are needing extra support, do please reach out. If you found this helpful, please like this video, please share it. I would appreciate that so much. Thank you all for watching. Take care. I'll see you soon. Bye-bye.